Imagine you wake up. It's dark. You're lying on cold stone inside a cave somewhere in what will one day be called France. The year is roughly 30,000 BC. Outside, there are cave lions, woolly mammoths and short-faced bears that stand 12 feet tall when they rise up. You know this, you've lived with this your entire life. But right now, in this exact moment, you're not scared of any of them. Because something else happened tonight. Something that makes the lions feel almost irrelevant. Someone you love stopped breathing. And nobody can explain why. Here's the question nobody asks about our ancient ancestors. What was the real thing that broke them? Not the predators, not the cold and not the hunger. The thing that kept them awake when the fire died down. The thing that forced them to invent gods, rituals, art, and meaning, tens of thousands of years before they invented the wheel. The answer is one word. Death. Not just dying. But the awareness of dying. The knowledge that it was coming, for everyone, and nobody knew why. That one terrifying idea may be the single force that shaped everything about being human. In 2023, archaeologists excavating a cave system in Atapuerca, Spain, made a discovery that rewrote the timeline of human consciousness. They found the bones of a child, roughly 10 years old, placed deliberately at the bottom of a pit, 28 feet underground. Surrounded by stone tools. Arranged with clear intention. The site is called Cima de los Huesos. The Pit of Bones. And here's what stunned researchers, the burial is 430,000 years old. That's not Homo sapiens. That's a pre-human species, possibly Homo heidelbergensis, a creature whose brain was significantly smaller than yours. And yet, they carried their dead to a specific location, deep underground, and placed them there deliberately. Why would an animal do that unless death meant something to them? This is where it gets dark. Anthropologist Ernest Becker spent his life studying one question: what does the awareness of death actually do to a mind? In 1973, he published The Denial of Death, and it won the Pulitzer Prize. His core argument? Virtually everything humans create, religion, art, culture, war, legacy, wealth, is a subconscious response to one unbearable truth. We know we're going to die. And we can't handle it. He called it terror management. And here's where it gets uncomfortable for you. Sitting here, watching this video, in whatever room you're in right now. The things you care most about, your reputation, your relationships, your need to leave something behind, researchers now believe those drives are also terror management. A modern human doing the same thing as the person in that cave 30,000 years ago. Building a fire big enough to hold back the dark. The evidence is literally painted on walls. In the Chauvet Cave in southern France, discovered in 1994, there are paintings dated to 36,000 years ago. Lions, rhinos, horses in full gallop. But mixed between the animals? Human handprints. Everywhere. Archaeologist Ian Davidson calls them an act of marking existence. I was here, I existed, remember me. The oldest selfie in human history. Taken by someone with no writing, no language as we know it, no civilization. Just the desperate need to not disappear completely. Compare that to your Instagram post, your LinkedIn profile, your name on a building, your child carrying your last name. 36,000 years apart, same identical impulse. But it wasn't just art. Once humans understood death, really understood it, they did something no other creature on Earth has ever done. They started preparing for it. In Sunghir, Russia, archaeologists uncovered 2 Ice Age burials from around 34,000 years ago. A boy and a girl, buried head to head. Covered in thousands of hand-drilled mammoth ivory beads. Fox teeth. Pendants. Each set of beads would have taken an estimated 10,000 hours to make. That's not decoration. That's obsession. That's a community spending years of collective labor on 2 children who were already gone. Why? Researchers believe they were preparing them for somewhere else. The idea of an afterlife, the first act of truly abstract human thinking, was born directly from the terror of death. Death didn't just scare ancient humans. It created the human mind. Here's the part that most documentaries skip. Psychologists Sheldon Solomon, Jeff Greenberg, and Tom Pisczynski spent 30 years running over 500 experiments across 26 countries testing Becker's theory. What they found was staggering. When people are subtly reminded of their own mortality, even just by walking past a funeral home, they become more tribal, more defensive of their own culture, more hostile to people who are different. They donate more to causes, they work harder, they become more creative. But also more aggressive. Every major conflict in human history, they argue, has an invisible layer beneath the politics and resources. Fear of death, projected outward. The Crusades, World War II, genocide, terrorism. All of it, at some layer, is humans terrified of disappearing, and choosing someone to blame for the darkness. The cave lion never made us do that to each other. The awareness of the cave lion, the knowledge that one day, something would get all of us, that's what did it. So where does that leave you? You live in a world of notifications, streaming services, packed schedules, and infinite scroll. You have more distraction available than any human in history. And researchers now believe that's exactly the point. A 2023 Harvard study found that people spend nearly 47% of their waking hours not thinking about what they're actually doing. Mind-wandering. Escaping the present. Ernest Becker would not be surprised. We have traded cave paintings and burial rituals for Netflix and social media and 80-hour work weeks. Different fire, same darkness. 30,000 years ago, someone sat in a cave and felt something you felt this week. Maybe last night. That quiet, 3 a.m. wait. The one you don't talk about at work or on the phone or at dinner. The one that asks, does this matter? Will any of this last? Will anyone remember that I was here? That feeling, that exact feeling, is the oldest thing about you. More ancient than language. More primal than hunger. And here's what the bones, the paintings, the beads, and the buried children are all telling us across tens of thousands of years of silence. You are not alone in the dark. You never were. Every human who came before you built a fire for the same reason. The question isn't whether the dark is real. The question is what you choose to paint on the walls before it comes.